Hey, folk, hear me, man. Y'all need to hear me good, folk. In order for us to make a change, man, in order for us to hear some freedom, man, we got to get into some trouble, folk. I mean some good trouble, folk. Y'all heard John Lewis? Good trouble, good trouble.
Now, if you guys think I'm not out here doing the work and doing my research, you are wrong. You think I'm not going to bring it to the community every chance I get? Vote me out. I don't care. I'm still going to do it. Vote me out. I'm going to do more. I'm really going to stick it to you. I'm going to be at everything. Okay? I'm really going to stick it to you now.
I don't want apologies and performative gestures. I want change and not Dr. Maya Angelou on the back of a quarter. I want change laws and policies.
I'm not sitting here to make friends or tell lies or act like we can do better and I'm doing better. Because we can do better, we can do more, but we gotta tell the truth.
I don't care if you bring down a statute, but can you codify a statute that ensures my right to vote, my right to vote, my right to vote, my right to vote.
Freedom made free when there's no truth. Freedom made free. They're selling me and they're selling you. Freedom made free when there's no truth. Freedom made free. They're selling me and they're selling you.
Hey, how are you? I'm Tracye Whitfield.
Good evening. I'm her co-host. I am D Moss. What's up, everybody?
What's up, D? So we're ready to kick off another civil disruption. Sorry about the tardiness, but we are here.
You guys are...
And hey, Jason, we're gonna get to you in just a minute. We want to start off with, what our topic is today. I don't know if you have that information up in front of you, Darryl.
I don't. You have it.
All right. Well, today's discussion is going to be the discipline of disruption. Organize, educate, and activate. And before we get started, we do this thing, the word of the day, just because we want to improve our vocabulary. And I know it helps me. So capitulate. Thank you, Jason, for the word of the day today. Capitulate, to surrender, to seize, to resist an opponent or an unwelcome demand, just to surrender. So you're surrendering to an opponent or a demand. Capitulate. And, that's the word of the day. Does anybody remember the word of the day from last week? I'm always going to ask that. Even if you're watching. Huh?
Catharsis.
Catharsis.
Did I get it right?
That's right. That is right.
For about 10 minutes yesterday. I ain't gonna lie. Word, y'all. Couldn't say the word. We all listen, man. Superman got kryptonite. I got these technical terms that only Jason uses. Him and my man Rob Jones. I'd be like,
Yeah.
And catharsis is one of those words.
No, you use them too, because
I don't think I've used that one, dude.
Not that one.
Catharsis means to just puff out your chest, get something in your chest. Even if it has a benefit, it could or not. Sometimes it's just people puffing out their chest all the time and no benefit. But sometimes you need to get something off your chest because it's needed. And that's what we do on civil disruption. It's needed. So we are going to jump into our show today with our special guest, Jason Bland. We had got a lot of requests from people that didn't hear Excellence, the poem that he wrote just for moi. I said it. And we just want him to go ahead and reiterate that poem for us again today. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jason. Don't know if you have some words you want to say first, or you just want to jump right into it. And then we'll get right into our discussion.
No, I appreciate you guys inviting me. And if somebody requested to hear the poem that didn't hear it, then here it is. I wrote it called Excellence when you got inaugurated as the first Black ever president of the City Council. We gather today to celebrate yet another long overdue of firsts. And I look around this chamber, composition and complexion of the City Council, and I see proof that excellence is diverse. I see proof that excellence is equity. And I see proof that excellence is inclusive. You see, excellence cannot be acquired, it's achieved. In order for it to be achieved, be conceived. In order to be conceived, it must first be. Excellence is not a commodity. No one owns a monopoly. Excellence cannot be bought. It cannot be sold. Excellence does not discriminate black, white, brown, red, young, or old. Excellence is not a noun. It does not live in one person, one place, or one thing. Well, it's an adjective, but I humbly disagree. Because excellence does not rise from robust rhetoric and simply words. Excellence requires action. Excellence is a verb. Excellence is not a wish. It isn't mythical, imaginary, and in a dream. Excellence will come from the attention paid to the little things. Excellence requires no talent nor skill, fire and will. Excellence is the bus, it is nation. Excellence is a journey, not a destination. Madam President, as we honor you today, we will not forget to give God the glory. When he took up his mighty pen to write the book of Tracye Lynn Whitfield, it's evident that excellence was the moral of the story. And not.
Thank you. Tracye Lynn Willingham is on with us today. Her middle name, my sister, is Lynn.
Hey, Tracye.
Yep. But I'm Tracye Lynette. But hey, that's, what did you call it, Darryl, yesterday? Poetic
license.
Privilege.
License.
Poetic license. All right. So we're gonna give them that. We're gonna give them that. It was beautiful nonetheless. So we definitely. I love it. I love that it's a verb, that it's action to become excellence, and it is across everyone. It's not one single person or monopoly, so definitely loved it. But we want to jump right into our conversation today. We are looking for some discussions from the audience. So if you're with us today, drop your name, say hello. Hey, Jalita. We definitely love to be in conversation with our audience. Again, just for those who are joining us right now, our topic for today is the discipline of disruption, to organize, to educate, and to activate. And so now we're going to go into natural conversations. We just have conversations, y'all. Nothing is scripted and things like that. We do discuss what our topics are going to be, but then we just go into conversation, and we love going into conversations with all of you as well. So we're going to jump right in. So Darryl, Jason, good evening, Sylvia.
First, I want to say kudos to Jason. That poem, when he first sent it to me, I ain't gonna lie, he was like, anything I should touch? And I'm like, absolutely nothing. I think every word, every passage is critical. And I think it's critical to the conversation that we're having today as we're talking about, what was our topic? We're talking about the history of organization, and why organizing and process and educating and mobilizing is so important. And I think as he talks about excellence, I'm gonna piggyback off what he says and talk about, once we recognize the degree of excellence that we possess, then we're able to recognize the power that we have to reshape city governance, redirect regional priorities, influence state politics. But it's once we recognize that potential that we have. And it's crazy because a lot of times we write people off as we talk about organizational structures and putting organizations in how can I say this? As we talk about building organizational structure and getting people involved in the process, a lot of times we write people off without even recognizing their potential and not seeing the excellence that everybody has. If I go back to high school, anybody from Meriden or Waterbury who knew me back then knew that I was the guy most destined to go to jail at age 18. Until I had a good friend of mine, Curtis Harkless, if he's watching, pulled me to the side, drew me up against the locker and said, "Why are you acting stupid in class, bro? You're too smart for that." He said, "While other people are learning," he said, "you already know this stuff." I had no idea how smart I was until he brought it to my attention. And that was one of my peers. So as we talk about excellence, Jason, I love that poem because we don't stop to give people their roses. We don't stop to acknowledge the brilliance that each and every one of us has. So I'm going to remember that poem the same way I remember that Frederick Douglass poem you spit at Dunamis Cafe about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Langston Hughes, man.
Langston Hughes. I'm getting old, man. You know, I knew. Don't mess me up. But
let America be America again.
Mm-hmm.
Let America be America again. That was my favorite poem.
Yeah, Langston Hughes.
That was my favorite poem in school in English. You know, if you listen to that poem, it was written in 1936, and he references the dream, right? So I don't know that Martin Luther King used that as a muse for his "I have a dream," but you know, there's a passage where Langston says, "For all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung," right? And that was 1936, a full, you know, almost 40 years before the March on Washington. So, you know, Darryl, you know, as a influence, you know, for years, you kind of put the, you know, I'll never forget you giving, you know, when you had Dunamis. Remember Dunamis? Dunamis Cafe? Like, that was probably, you know, it was like Springfield's Love Jones, right? But, you know, I give you a lot of props and kudos, man, because, you know, you took a lot of chaotic thoughts that I had and just said, man, listen, if you put a harness on that, then you could write something powerful, you know. And I never forgot, you know. I thank you privately, but let me thank you out loud because Jesus is a revolutionary.
Okay.
You know, that's one of my favorite pieces. Jesus is a revolutionary. But
I'm glad we got my sister
you ever
Tracye
heard
on.
that?
No, I never heard the poem. I'm sure that you will make sure I do one day.
Jesus is a revolutionary. I mean, you need drums and you need like bass. That's a performative piece.
Yeah, we'll have you and Darryl has
that's one of my favorite joints, right up there with, you know, some of the more known greats. But Jesus is a revolutionary.
Appreciate that.
All right, so let's get on topic a little bit. You know, sometimes like I'm gonna have to bring these men in because they're poetic genius running around in their head. You know, that's not me, but it's all needed. And Darryl said one key thing about the discipline of disruption, and that is people don't always get their props. And so we need, when we organize, right? So that we organize, we educate, we activate. So we're at the organizing phase. So we're on here to organize all of us together. And I want y'all to do something for me, those who are watching. If you are interested in really being down with this movement, actions speak louder than words, right? So right now, I'm going to say, drop me an inbox message. If you have my number, send me a text message. Same with Darryl, same with Jason, so that we can really start this movement. We can't do it just being out here talking and people putting words in the chat. We love this. We love this opportunity to be with you all, but we all have different skill sets that are needed to bring this movement forward. We ain't going to put everything out on the table on what the movement is, what it looked like and all that, but just know that it is happening. And we need to be collective in our approach. And we need to know what people's skill sets are. Some people don't want to be in the forefront. Some people just are good at bringing people together. Some people gonna feed us all because we gonna need that nutrition. But we need all those skill sets. And if you want, drop your skill set right on in the messenger of Facebook or YouTube, whatever you're on. We want to know what the skills are out there. But listen, if you really, 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 truly want to get involved in this movement, I already got one. Thank you, Desi. Desi's in. Got a nice text already. This is the time that we are using to organize ourselves, be on the same page. It doesn't matter if we had differences in the past. It doesn't matter. It's time for us to come together. And we're going to jump into a little bit of like some of the things that happened in the past and why they were successful. So,
oh yeah,
Martin Luther King weekend just passed, you know.
There's a whole lot of lessons we can learn from history in terms of coordinating Black voting and how it never really depended on being the majority. It always depended on unity, strategy, education, and process. For instance, Reconstruction, union leagues organized like enfranchised Black voters across the South. They rewrote state constitutions, they funded public education, protected labor rights, elected more than 2,000 Black officials. 1964, the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, they organized mock elections involving tens of thousands of disenfranchised Black voters. The effort that they had exposed voter suppression so clearly that it helped to force the passage of the Voting Rights Act and dramatically expanded Black voter registration nationwide. These are folks from down in the backfields who had the gumption to organize voters and make this thing happen. So when we look at a city like Springfield, I think Springfield has so much untapped intellectual capacity. It's insane. The magic we can make. We'll give an example. In Cleveland, the Stokes brothers, they built the 21st century Democratic District, 21st century District Caucus to consolidate Black political power inside the Democratic Party. Because they were not accepted, they created the 21st District Democratic Caucus. That organization influenced judicial appointments, public housing policies, policing reforms. In Atlanta, they sustained voter registration way back when, and turnout efforts delivered Maynard Jackson to the mayor's office, opened the door to millions of dollars in minority business contracts, reshaping the city's political economy. 5,000 concentrated Black votes here in the city of Springfield can reframe how we see politics in Western Massachusetts. Presently, don't forget what you've been told. I've seen the data. We are one of the strongest and most consistent voting blocks in Massachusetts. Yeah. So Congressman Neal has relied on the Black vote. He's been in office for over 20 years. Dominic Sarno got in on the backs when he beat Charlie Ryan on the backs of Black votes. There's a whole lot of people who rely on our votes. Well, everybody relies on our votes, with the exception of us. And I think if we concentrate those votes and bring it together, as Tracye talked about, the things that SCLC and Martin Luther King that did back in the 60s, man, we could work miracles. It's just a matter of putting some structure in place to make this happen. But I'm not going to get on my soapbox. I'm going to stop right there and let y'all jump in.
You got to stop right there for a second. And I'm going to turn it over. I have a specific question with Jason because we were talking a little bit yesterday. And we got to prevent complacency. It's like we get complacent in our actions. And then we have some leaders, or they're still leaders in their own right, but they always want to remember their time and not help move us forward in our time, right? Because that I hear it like every single time I go somewhere. Remember we did this. Well, remember who did something before you. We're not forgetting here. We're just at a place where we need to move even further. We can't get stuck in what any of them did. Thank you for building those bridges for us. I'm going to say that publicly. I'm going to say it as many times, but we can't get stuck there. We still got a lot more work to do. So we can't get complacent. We got to prevent it. After the Civil Rights Act, after the Voting Rights Act, Martin Luther King did challenge us to think deeper, think about structural injustices. And me and Jason was talking yesterday about some injustices that happen right here. And I want to give him the floor because at first I was like, I don't know if I want to bring that up. But I was like, let's just put it all out on the table. Let's tell the community what really was happening, even to me. So, Jason, I'm gonna turn that over to you for a minute.
No, I mean, I think, just talking about movements and the collective, right? A lot of times, and I guess I've been guilty of it, you want to join. Everybody has vigor and everybody is, zealous about change, right? But do we all agree on what that looks like? Is there a collective destination, right, for the movement? Because people will get on board, and if the movement is moving, but it's not moving in a distinct direction, right? If there's not an end game, then it can, sometimes fall into, okay, it's empty words, right? From both sides, And I think building a coalition, which I've never done and I've really never been a part of, I would surmise requires a collective vision, right? Everybody has to say, this is where we are trying to get. You pick the of individuals that have, skill sets getting there. You know what I mean? It's always been a very, in leading, in a micro workplace, leading men in industry, if you don't have a vision, if there's not a clear vision, everybody agrees, right? And it can't be dictated from the top, right? It's a collective. Where are our deficits, and how together do we become that force? Like Darryl said, with the voting block in Springfield of 1,000 strong, I believe what dear brother Justin. So, there are, there are power in numbers. But I would add the two of you who have been politicians, who are in politics. What do you, how do you guys, Tracye, the coalition you've managed? What is the messaging to get a collective vision? Who helps shape the vision? Is it the executive administrators? Is it the people on the ground? That's what I'm very curious about.
Well, I think we all do. We collectively shape the vision. That's what coalition building is all about. We collectively, there's usually people behind the scenes that write down concrete ideas, a few of them, and then we get people to vote on them, because we can't expect everybody to be at every meeting all the time. And so it usually happens like that. But I was talking about more of there was something that you said to me that you were going to bring attention to that happened at a Stone Soul event. That's more what I was talking about. And then you said, are we still going to invite these people to the room when they do things like that? And then you asked, where were certain leaders in certain instances kind of like there without me saying it, because I wanted to come from you.
What my realm was distinct. Said, I think a moment was missed.
We got to say
I think a moment was missed by the mayor of the city. A historic moment with you, the first, right? First Black female president.
He's breaking up for you, Darryl? Yeah, you're breaking up a lot, Jason. Your Wi-Fi. You're breaking up. Maybe turn your camera on, because you're breaking up a lot.
I'll continue, with the first Black female president of the city council being sworn in, and not acknowledging the moment publicly. Moment in the chamber where he's standing and he's in Tracye kind of motion as though to give him an opportunity for just some impromptu words. And, he declined. Yeah, it's what I'm saying is, okay, what I was saying was, collective, if everybody, if it's a coalition, right? So you have people on this side that have allegiances, and and people on this side are trying to progress. Well, if the old guard is going to kill ones who refuse to acknowledge, the excellence, the new excellence, if they're going to continue to allow the pandering and the photo ops and open the church doors and open the community centers for those every election cycle, can we collectively agree? Is there going to be, how does that unification occur? When clearly the disrespect is evident. Like I said, I think it was a huge moment missed to, as a major city in Massachusetts, to be a unifier, to come out and acknowledge the moment. But to not acknowledge the moment, to me, was, an opportunity missed. But it showed, I guess, a clear line. So now moving forward, the same doors going to be open. The ones that were there backing you, the ones that give you their undying support, are they going to still allow, that? Are they still going to extend those invites, to ones who clearly, have different agendas or don't align with what the agenda is, and that's very important when you're talking about a movement. At 5,000 votes, is it going to be 5,000 votes that come together, or is it going to be 2,500 votes versus 2,500 votes?
I'm wondering how.
Is it going to be community collaborative?
Going out.
Yeah, you're going out.
Like,
you're going out.
People get.
Can't hear that.
No, we can't hear you at all.
Can't even hear you.
Can't hear you.
You wanna address what he was saying?
Yeah, I'll address it a little bit because
it's been I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi, but I definitely have
it wasn't the first time that Jason witnessed that type of disrespect with me and the mayor. I never really put everything that happened between us out in the street, because at the end of the day, I was here to do a work for the people, and I couldn't let that be a distraction. But like, we were at the Stone Soul one year, and Bud Williams was like to the mayor to come over, take a picture with Tracye and stuff like that. And he was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And then, like, a bunch of other Black people are watching, right, him do that to me. Mind you, I told Bud I didn't need the picture, didn't want the picture, but he insisted. And the mayor straight up was like, nah, doing all this, right? And what baffled me was the Black men that was like, oh, mayor, who are witnessing this, come over here and take a picture with us. And I was like, really? Like, I ain't even going to call out the group who it was at the time, because I don't know if they really realized what was happening. But it was blatant disrespect. And yet, we still invite people that are like that to our people in. I work hard for the community, and so don't a lot of other people. But it was hurtful to me in the moment. So I think what Jason was saying is, do we still allow that behavior to continue to happen? Do we always need to have these particular individuals or representatives at our, and I'm not picking on the mayor at all. We're all right. We're cordial. We have to work together. But do we continue to invite that type of behavior in, or how do we move on from the same old? Like, the community is split. I'm not going to say we're completely divided, but it's a little bit split. And I think where the split comes from is this misguided loyalty that because this person did something for me once in my life, or did something for my family one time, I always got to stay loyal to this individual. And that's not true, because we got to look at the good of the community. Our community is declining. Our businesses are leaving. Our young people are leaving. Our economy is not growing. Our economic development is down the toilet, because when he did this one favor for someone, right, we did this one favor for someone and they stay loyal. If you all understood the money that is going to their community, that's not coming to ours, that I see, that I have seen. I worked in finance for the city. So it's not something that I'm making up. It's not something that is fake. They literally give contracts to their people and they nickel and dime us. And then this loyalty stays with them because they come for photo ops and they come to, I don't know, they did one thing for your family, but we got to look at the good of the community overall, not the one thing that has been done in the past. And I just don't understand, Darryl. Like, I'm just having real conversations like civil disruption, right? We can't be silent on these things that continue to happen and manifest themselves over and over and over again. We are not going to get a different result from that. We're not.
I agree. I mean, we're so, how can I say this, enamored with personalities that we forget that there needs to be a process. So when you look at someone like Dominic, I mean, even when I worked for him, it wasn't about who cared if he was offended when he needed to hear the truth. Me and Adam is cool. He's a state senator. If there's an issue, I'm gonna make it clear. Carlos Gonzalez, great dude. If there's an issue, we're gonna make it clear. We have this tendency to never hold anybody accountable. Sometimes we're damn near apologetic instead of holding people accountable and focusing on the process in terms of what needs to get done. Because we're afraid of hurting people's feelings. We're afraid of how we're going to look. We don't want to sound too aggressive, too negative. It's about accountability. I think Jason alluded to the 5,000 votes. That's the goal. If we get them, it's kind of like if you get 5,000 supportive voters behind you, and we start playing politics with those folks and politics with issues and compromising ourselves for personal gain, then we have an issue. So the situation with the mayor, I think wherever you were at, Stone Soul, wherever, he should have been checked and held accountable. I think any elected official should be checked and held accountable, if not by you, at least by the folks who are around you and who see this mess, especially if you're at a Black event. It's kind of like, nah, we don't do that here. And it has to be checked. We were at an event once and you were there. Actually, you spoke. It was an all Black gathering and we were talking about Black economics, politics, movement. And someone, we gave someone the mic and they said, well, this ain't about race, this ain't about Black, this ain't about this. But the event was specifically for that. And as a public official, you went right up and said, no, this is for Black people, this Black organizers, it's a Black event, no disrespect to anybody else, but this is what we gathered for. I think people have to have the backbone to stand up and represent for your tribe. And it doesn't take another elected official, it doesn't take a polished leader or a popular personality. Anybody can step in and check somebody when it comes down to that type of stuff. And I think accountability, man, I think accountability is everything. If we don't have accountability, there's no use putting processes together. There's no use educating, organizing. It defeats the purpose because we're still going to get caught up in the same old.
Yeah, Nancy.
That's my 2 cents.
You're right. Nancy Murray said we have to hold all of them in Western Mass accountable. I mean, we don't. Like, I sometimes don't understand, like, how do people that won't show up to debates, won't tell how they're going to grow the economy, they just won't show up because they automatically think that they're gonna win. How is that they get to continue getting the votes?
Right.
Like, when do we wake up as a people, as a community, as a Springfield, as a Western Mass to say, this isn't enough for us. This isn't enough for us. Our economy, we can do better. In my daytime job, I travel throughout the state and I go to other communities and other towns and I see the creative things that they have in place. I see I see the growth, even in Boston, not comparing Springfield to Boston in any type of way, but I see the growth because their leadership will allow others from diverse backgrounds to come in and put in programs that will help all communities. And I see it because I'm living it. Like, and I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, we could be doing more in Springfield. And I think that I always say, even for like our small businesses, if you go to Boston's website, they have a whole small business department. And we don't.
We don't.
We give storefront grants and like these little things. We can't even get people to stay in stores or in the storefronts, but we want to have a storefront grant and things like that. This is
Right.
like, it's weird. But I don't know how to get Springfield to move forward. And I guess I do know how. We are starting it right here, right now. We are organizing our folks and we're gonna educate them.
I think it requires leadership. And when I say leadership, I'm not talking about elected officials. I'm not talking about the blacks in government, the high-ranking blacks in government. I'm not talking about the corporate elites. I'm not talking about the nonprofit executives. It just requires someone to take the baton and run with it. I'm gonna give an example. Now, I know everybody hates when you bring up things that were done, but when I look at what we used to do with the association in terms of the dinner and dialogues, do you remember the number of people who would show up for the business workshops? I look at the C3 that you and Richard Johnson run. When I look at numbers that show up, it's kind of like we have all these efforts where our folks are showing up, and I think sometimes we don't give credit to the efforts where we get people to show up and participate. I mean, we've been getting regular folks, forget the name brand personalities. We were getting regular folks, and we're still getting regular folks, just working class folks who come out and they're ready to move. If you look at every movement historically, which is why I started the way I did, talking about the historic movements, most of those movements were started by regular people. I think we keep referring to, and I'm not saying I'm speaking in general, we refer to the thems and we refer to the they, they don't, and it's kind of like movement begins on a grassroots level, man. And it's like, we got to take this, we got to roll this, get people involved. If we're excited, if we're energized, people will follow suit. People follow you because you have this, I don't give a damn, bring it if you want to, but this is what we're going to do because it's the right thing to do. And people, people follow behind you because of that. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we're doing it. The question is, how do we bring all these puzzle pieces together? When Jason talks about the vision is like this picture of the end game. It's like, the question is, how do we bring the puzzle pieces together to complete the mission? There are things that were being done economically, things that were being done politically, things being done culturally, academically. It's just a matter of bringing those components together and getting people to the point where they recognize that the finish line is the same for all of us, regardless of the piece that we choose to work on.
Yeah, I think we bring in people one person at a time, right? I just have 4 people say I'm in. Like I asked, I don't know, for the new people who just joined us, I asked if you want to get involved in our movement, say I'm in. And so we start with the people that say I'm in, and then they bring people in, and then their people bring people in, and then their people bring people in, because that's how, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, everybody else, they start with their core. They all agree on the mission, vision, and how they're going to get it done. They educate the people, and everybody continue to bring people in. I think Jason's trying to get back in.
He said his internet. I guess he's getting hit. He's getting hit with a firewall for some reason.
Oh, firewall. Okay. Richie Mines just said he in. And let me tell you, and I'm glad Richie Mines just said he in, because I know him probably since I was like 13, 14 years old. And I went to, I don't know if y'all remember, but I post Shamal, how we do it, when he was having his after work things at Marley's. I went there, right? And so I bought everybody drinks in there. A shot. I ain't gonna say I bought everybody drinks, so I couldn't afford it. But I bought everybody in the whole bar a shot, right? And so Shamal asked who knew me. Few people knew me. It ain't about who knew me. Then Shamal asked who voted. And he said, don't lie, because she can see who voted. And you should have seen, out of probably like, I want to say it was like 35, maybe 40 people, not a huge crowd in there. Probably like 5 or 6 people voted. And so I'm like, Okay, so I looked at that as an opportunity, right? How do we get these people educated and know the power of the vote in the political process? You know, how do we get the people that say voting is not important, or my vote doesn't matter, or how do we get them involved in the process? I'm sorry, my phone keeps blinging. People are texting me right now saying they're in, so it is me because it's on my computer. And
Okay.
so, thank you, people. Thank you for being in. Yes, we're gonna start with the ends, and we're gonna continue to grow it.
You asked the question. I think the first thing is to use the language. For those of us who organize, for those of us who are involved in the political process and correction, somebody, Jason said earlier, I was a politician. I've never been a politician.
Never.
And make that really clear. I've never been a politician.
I'm
I
not a
worked for one.
politician either.
I worked for one. But it was a means to an end. So to be clear, I'm not a politician. But I think first things first, we have to stop bullshitting.
Yep.
And we can't bullshit the people who say that they're going to follow us. Once we get people to the point where they believe in us, we got to be straight. You got to be real, got to be transparent. We have to be human. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people think they let the titles and they let leadership go to their heads. And they let their ego take precedence. And it's kind of, we got to move past that. I think people are ready to do something. Folks are like energized. But the question is, who's going to pick up the mantle of leadership and be completely 100% about the people, not about themselves, not worry about hurting people's feelings and all that other ish. It's kind of like, if we're going to do it, let's do it. Let's be real about it and let's make it happen. I think most people, and the other piece about when folks say, I don't do politics, there's the educational component to organizing and mobilizing. When we talk about politics is no more than making sure that your streets are, it's all about enhancing the quality of your life. Your garbage getting picked up, your streets being cleaned, paved, plowed, making sure that you enjoy all the services and benefits that your tax dollars deserve. And it's like, that's politics, man. There's nothing more, nothing less. All these city departments work for the enhancement of the residents of that particular municipality, county, or state. That's what they're paid to do. Sometimes we treat these same people as if they're celebrities, and we almost act as if we're apologizing to ask them for a service. Nah, that's politics. I know for the 12 years I was in the mayor's office, and I look at the number of constituent calls I would receive with people complaining. Those complaints, that's your political process at work. Our job is to make sure that those wheels are constantly spinning and constantly turning.
Yeah.
So I think once we educate people on that, and at the same time, when they bring their concerns to us, we're 100% with them. Either listen, I can either help you, there's something we can do, or we can't. And if there's something we can do, we need to put those wheels in action. The same way when someone brings something to you, you pick up the phone and you make sure that it happens. All 13 city councils are supposed to operate in that same capacity. I say every show, the elected official is no different than an attorney. You hire an attorney, you go to court or whatever the case may be, that individual or that law firm is supposed to represent you because you're paying them and you expect nothing less. An elected official is no different. If I give you my vote, if we collectively give you a vote and you don't perform for us, then we have to replace you with somebody else. I don't care if it's filing a petition and getting a petition for a vote of no confidence and pulling you from office. Constituents/voters have the power to do that. We don't tell them that inside secret.
Yeah, we definitely got to educate. And I'm glad you are saying some like key things that I want to pivot to. We have to name it plainly. Like I don't use all the big words and stuff. I mean, I love the people that do because it gives me something to look up later. But I like to say it plainly, right? We have to name exactly what we want from the people that we are voting in. And we have to say it in public, and we have to say it around everybody that we have witnesses. So if we're going to take our 5,000 voting block and we're going to put it behind, I'm going to use our own Justin Hurst. I'm going to say my own because he's definitely my own. And we're going to put it behind Justin Hurst. Justin Hurst, we help get you in office. We have expectations for the Black community, not for the individual, not for Tracye Whitfield, for our community to grow. Right. And we have to name it plainly. A lot of times people don't want to say it. Well, I'm going to say it. And then there are those, and I'm going to say this too, and I'm going to keep saying it, and this is unapologetic, that used to be public and get silent. I'm not understanding that.
Is it
Like,
repeat that one more time?
they used to be like publicly for our people, right? And all of a sudden they silent, and tables have turned and things have changed. And I don't understand that. And I don't really care about those people. If that's where you choose to be, then you stay there. Right. And we're just going to worry about the group, the movement that is with the movement. And so I'm not here to call people out. I'm not here to do any of that stuff. I'm here to say, together, we have the power to make the change that we want to see. And we have to start spreading this word like a wildfire. We got to start spreading it like a wildfire. We can't just keep saying it on the show. Tag people and tell them to watch the show, because this movement is going to happen. Everybody needs to be involved. And if you see Darryl Moss, he's a little tired today. Tracye Whitfield, she can't make it. Well, somebody else is going to make it. And somebody else is going to take the role, because it's not just on Darryl Moss or Tracye Whitfield or Richie Mines or Tracy Willingham or Solobia. It's on all of us together. And we got to look at each other like that as a collective. I ain't going to say we have been a little bit divided for like way too long. And it's time for that to stop. So the people who don't want to get with us, then that's on them. We ain't going to worry about them. They ain't getting our vote. They ain't getting our vote, because we vote as a collective. We vote as a collective. And so we got to understand, okay, let's bring this up. I'm going to bring this up. Okay, I'm going to bring this up, Darryl. And I just want your feedback on it. I'm bringing it up. Okay. We have Jeremy Whalen, right?
Yes.
Running against Richie Neal.
Yes.
Jeremy as the person, excellent, wonderful, love him, nice. He's at everything, taking pictures, putting the pictures out for free. He's doing all these things. But we have to figure out what our ask is going to be for that vote. You ain't just getting it because you're a nice person. And I'm not saying this to target you, Jeremy. I'm not targeting you in any way, but that's for anybody that's coming down the pipe, that's running for office. We want to know collectively what you're going to do. And collectively, we're going to build those asks. See, we don't know what those asks are yet, but when we get them, it's going to be plain, it's going to be clear, and we're going to ask for it. And if that's something that you can't produce and you promise to produce and you don't, we are calling you out on that. Right. I am not going to be quiet anymore. I have helped elected officials that don't show up for me. And I'm tired of that. Right?
Yeah.
That's wrong. And I have a forgiving heart. I can always forgive you. And I'll even pull you back in. People say I'm better than them, but people make mistakes and I can't forgive. I will never forget. And I will never fully trust you, but I can give you a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance, because that's just who I am. But we got to collectively. So when we activate, we are going to together figure out what our asks are. What do we want to see? I keep seeing these posts, and then I'll be quiet and turn the mic over.
Keep going. You good.
I keep seeing these posts. We don't have nothing in Springfield. We don't have nothing in Springfield. And okay. And then you get everybody on the soapbox. Yeah, we don't have nothing in Springfield. Oh, that's why I got out of there. You hear the people who laugh. That's why I got out of there, because there's nothing to do. Actually, we have a lot to do, because I have somewhere I'm invited to every single day. I don't know if it's not what people are into. I don't know if it's not what people know about. They might not be aware. Or are you talking about nightlife? But if that's something that you want, saying it on Facebook to get people riled up and get the negative comments ain't going to make the change. I'm just going to keep it real. That is not how the change is going to happen. When it's time for us to call you in to help us move something, because it's power in numbers. So if I need you to come to the chamber because our taxes continue to go up, and this is for the homeowners and the people who may have parents that can't afford their taxes to go up or taking care of somebody. Right. You did this one time, Darryl. You called people into the chambers, right? We thought that Vicky wasn't going to be voted in for the historic commission. Yeah, historical commission.
Yeah.
I mean, you got busy. Andrew Keaton got busy. Desi got busy. Like all these people got busy. They just started calling everybody. We need you to show up. 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 And we showed up. And everybody except one changed their vote. Even the spearheaders of saying that Vicky wasn't going to get voted in changed their votes. And Mike Fitton, speaking of Mike Fitton, I owe Mike Fitton an apology because he did come up to me. And I appreciate, I know, Darryl, I appreciate this when someone would come to me directly and don't talk about me behind my back. But he came to me directly because I made a comment that he goaded Melvin Edwards into like running against me for the presidency. And he said that wasn't true. And so I told him, well, if it wasn't true, then I apologize. I'm not going to try not to do that again. I'm not going to say things that I heard other people say if I don't know the facts for myself. And so that's why I wanted to publicly say that I apologize for that. And if I ever do that to other people, please tell me personally. I want to know what I did personally so I can correct myself because I am not perfect. But, you know.
Okay.
The way, I guess the point I was making before when you said Mike Fitton was
the power. He was the one. What happens when we organize? We can pack out rooms and we can change the decision making process. Is what you're basically saying.
Oh yes, and I run a coalition and we do it all the time, but we do it on the state level. We get those state leaders and those state officials, and it's like 50 or something of us on a Zoom, and we call them out, and they listen to us. They implement the changes that we asked for. It happened probably like 4 times. And I was amazed because I didn't even know we could do it. I didn't know we could do it. And we did it. So now I know we can do it. So now I know we can do it on a broader level. And I am ready. I am just ready. So anybody who just joined us that's ready to activate, ready to get this education so we really know how government works and how money trickles down from the state level to the local level to the people, even go as far up as the federal level. What music is that? Let us know. Let us know. Say you're in. And you don't have, if you don't want to put it like publicly in the chat, you can text me, inbox Darryl, text Darryl, Jason, whoever, and just let us know that you're in.
Yeah. I mean, people just need to understand that everything can change. It all depends on you. And again, 5,000 to 10,000 voters. If you look at the numbers in Springfield, it's wide open. If it works in Springfield, the beauty is if whatever we're doing works in Springfield, you can use it as a blueprint for every other city that has a significant Black population. Springfield only has maybe little less than 30,000 Black people, about 15,000 of them, I think half maybe young people. If you look at the data, there's enough registered voters, there's enough adults out there. If everybody would have pulled those resources, pulled them votes, man, you'd be shocked what we can do. We started out talking about Jeremy Whalen. I haven't met him, but I know he's inboxed me a couple of times. I agree with you. I think we need to get the ask and everything ready. I don't think any vote should just be taken for granted. Or I think the Black vote should never be assumed. And a lot of times, oftentimes, if someone's liberal, they just assume. Can't hear. Can anybody hear me?
I hear you fine. It's whatever's going on at Jason's computer.
Our vote. No one should ever assume that they have our vote. So Tracye, I agree with you 100%. I think accountability is everything. The other piece is to ask. I know when I worked with Dominic, folks would come in, Black groups would come in, and they would always tell him what they wanted to do. But at the end of it, there would never be a request. There's never an ask. It's kind of like this dude entertaining your conversation, Richie Neal, giving you an audience and listening to your conversation. If there's no ask at the end of it, you just wasted 30 to 45 minutes of your time because they're going to tell you everything. Yeah, that's a great idea. I love it. And you walk out there, you're thinking you're feeling good, and they never promised you anything. They never committed to anything. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, even before this block is really built, things that people should know, if any elected official and they agree to do something, always follow it up with an email. in the email say, hey, thank you, Jason, for the visit. I appreciate your time. I just wanted to reiterate everything that we talked about. And if you can just respond in email confirming that these are the bullet points that you agreed to, I'd be deeply appreciative. So folks need to get into the habit of doing that. If I always advise people, don't talk to elected officials on the phone. If you can meet them in person, that's great. Even better is an email because you have a timestamp on it. So there's a method of accountability. I know I received emails from a certain city councilor when certain members of the police department were trying to go back and forth. It was like, oh, these are what you call receipts. So imagine if we get individuals to start responding appropriately. Imagine what happens when we get a whole block on the same page with a unified vision. So, I'm just saying, I know I'm going on and on, but I'm just telling you, this can be done. And Springfield can really set the tone for the rest of the country in terms of what we can do politically. Again, the intellectual capacity is off the charts. I've lived in about 5 different cities. Outside of Atlanta, I've never really seen a city with the capacity and the potential that Springfield has.
Yeah. And it's okay. So, let's move us forward. Now we have our ask. We are activated. We got our 5,000 people. We are activated. 5,000 or more. 5,000 is the minimum, guys. 5,000 is the minimum, right? And so now we are activated. We got our 5,000 people. We are dividing and conquering with tasks, with responsibilities, with holding conferences, with holding house parties, with getting more people. Like, it ain't about like whatever we do, we are going to be recognized and uplifting each other, ourselves, helping getting more employment for us. Now we are activated. Now we are starting our education piece. And when we go out and we ask, we're organized. I'm sorry. We're organized. Now we're getting our education piece, right? Now we're educated and we are organized and we got our ask and we're asking. Then we got to hold them accountable. So you came to a public meeting with our group and you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z for our community. And then nothing happens because I heard you say that about 3 times, that people went, speak in front of them, speak to speak, and nothing happens, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now it's time to put an accountability measure in place. And for me, that's when we become, I don't know if we become catharsis. That's when we say what we got to say, right? Because it has a meaning. It's not, we're just not out here calling stuff out, calling people out just because we want to get an audience, want our voice heard, and it's not always negative and things like that. No, we asked you, we came in front of you, we said we will support you, but we had certain asks, and now that's our expectation. And if you don't do it, there will be accountability measures in place. We will hold you accountable. And that's for anybody who's asking for our vote. And we're not just talking about politically, right? Because there are jobs out here that people need. There's just so much that we have to talk about without putting it all out here.
That's the difficult part.
Yeah.
Talk about what you want to do without breaking down all the pieces.
All the pieces. That's why as we organize, we got to figure out our steps and our method. It doesn't have to just come from me or Darryl. We need all of you. Thank you to everybody who said, I am in. They said they are ready. They are in, Darryl. We already got about 10 people. So we're going to multiply that to 100 by the next show. People are sending me their contact information. Because you didn't put it in the chat, I ain't going to say them out loud because I don't know if they want to be known right now. I don't know what their positions are at work and things like that. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that information. Jason, is that you? To say them aloud because I don't know if people are known right now. I don't know what their positions are at work and things like that. But I just want to say thank you.
Car owners in flat.
Oh my goodness, we got commercials going on. We just real people, y'all. We just real people doing real things. We just having a conversation with the community.
And it's like, what exactly are we promising people? Can you hear me?
Can hear you. Can't hear Jason.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, y'all. We getting this right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
There. Oh, we can hear you now.
No, I apologize for my technical difficulties. I don't know. Then it kicked me out. It kept kicking me out. I didn't hear most of what I could see you talking, but I couldn't hear a lot of what you were saying. So I apologize. I don't want to jump in at the end and make any counter-predictive points or cover anything already touched because I legit couldn't hear for a while.
We
So
just talked about organizing, holding
I guess
folks accountable, making sure we have our ask.
Hmm?
Can you hear us? Making sure we have our ask when elected officials want our votes. We need to have our ask together. Not our ass, our asks, our requests. Our requests together on what we expect from them. And once they know what we want, then we hold them accountable if they say that that's what they're going to deliver. And if they say that that's not what they're going to deliver, then we are not voting for you.
In part of the task of organizing is coming up with a collective agenda. So every time we meet with someone, there's an agenda on the table, and with those agendas, there's going to be expected outcomes that come along with benchmarks in terms of our expectations, when we expect them, how we expect to get them. I mean, I think we have to be clear in terms of giving these people what they need, because some of them don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's our job to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
We need new blood. We need to educate people on. So when people say, I don't do politics, well, then you must not work. You must not have a place to live, because all of that is politics. Like, you got a politic to get anything in life. Every job has politics. I don't care what it is. I mean, even when I was in lower level positions, it was still all about politics, internal corporate politics. Who you know, there are people getting jobs over you. You know, you're more qualified. You got the suck up kiss butts people that will get the job. You know, they're underqualified. It's all politics, guys. We just got to learn how to be smart about it. We just got to learn how to move, and we just got to educate those that think it's not important.
People think politics is all about electoral. The electoral process. I think that's the biggest problem. People think it's all about the electoral process.
Thank you.
And when you look at the options, when someone's constantly giving you options for your life,
do
first
you
thing
guys
you want to do is compel it. Go ahead, Jason.
I think he's stuck again. I'm getting him a new computer, Wi-Fi, something. That's my bestie.
I think it's just a matter of explaining to people what those options represent. And more importantly, I think the electoral process is like the smallest piece of the political process. I think the big piece is learning what, this voting bloc should be doing year round in terms of ensuring accountability, being a watchdog for public policy, watchdog for zoning and ordinances, making sure they're not rezoning our neighborhoods and turning into industrial zones or boarding house, zones and all that other stuff. Okay, he's going again. So I think there's an educational portion to what we do, and I think education has to be like a heavy part to get people to understand that it's more than just voting for someone.
Mm-hmm.
So and I just think I think that's all part of the process, and I think we're going to get there with that.
Yeah. So for the folks that said I'm in, can y'all drop some of y'all skill sets and how you think you can contribute to the movement? Like, if someone is really good, hey Farrell, Farrell, yep. If someone is really good at training and education, Stephanie Marshall says she's in. Thanks, Steph. I knew you were in, girl. Then let us know that that's your skill set, and so you may be able to deliver a message better than I can. I'm not the best deliverer of messages, especially when I'm emotional and passionate. I'm doing a little better because people are telling me the truth about myself and I'm listening. But we have people that are good at hosting. They can fill a room. Darryl can fill a room real quick in about 3 hours. I see Andrew doing that. I see, people just have like really, really, really great skill sets. There are the people that are behind the scenes that we gonna make sure that everything is organized, set up, and we are ready. You need me to run and get these waters, I'm gonna run and get these waters. And because I'm gonna make sure no one has to leave because they thirsty, because we got work to do. And so we have every like skill set that is needed under the sun. No one is above anybody. No, people just have different access. I'm gonna say that. So my access right now is different than someone else's, which is good because we need our players in every position. Okay, every single position. And I know that I'm gonna say this book, Darryl, but I don't mean it literally. Darryl and Jason had told me to read the book, The Spook That Sat by the Door. Who's the author, Darryl?
I forgot his name.
Yeah. But anyways, that's the title of the book. And I didn't know where it was going, but I read that book a couple times.
Sam Greenlee.
It taught me a lesson because I'm not gonna blow it for y'all, but this man was a genius. That's all I'm gonna say. And you will get the gist at the end of it.
I'm glad you brought that book up because sometimes, man, and I know people did it to me, so not personalizing it, but sometimes we see people working in certain positions, and the first assumption is you don't know this dude from a hole in the wall. You don't know this woman from a hole in the wall, and the first thing we do is gut them. We call him Uncle Tom, Sambo's, I don't know that, and, and it's like not realizing the resources that this particular individual is bringing back to the community on the downside. So people just have to be aware that we're talking about the spook set by the door. That book is so dope. You can look at it from a myriad of contexts in terms of things that we can do and the potential that can lead to based on how we roll and how we get things done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll turn it back to you. I just had to add that piece because Sam Greenlee was brilliant when he wrote that book.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Richie Mine said, let's do a gathering around this book. I mean, there's a few books that we should really collectively read and dissect. It will help us. And I know some people don't like to read. I don't want to read or whatever. We'll watch the movie. I don't care how we get the message out. We will watch the movie. We'll give clip notes. We'll give the moral of the story without ruining it for the people who do want to read it. But it was just like a very eye-opening thing for me because I just seen even what I can do. And it's hard for me to talk in these codes right now without letting everything, out of the bag and stuff like that. I'm just saying read the book and then we'll talk about it later. But
I'm reading some of the comments as you talk.
Okay.
Let's I want to hit some of these comments.
Okay, let's see. Let's hit
be. Let's go to the top. Good evening. Give me a second. You can keep talking. I'm just looking for comments.
No, we were a little bit late today because I personally I went to step class with my granddaughter, so I was a little bit late today. So we'll stay on a couple more minutes for y'all, but we know that it's getting late and y'all got families and things to do. But we want to get to the comments before we do that. So what
Here we go. Jason Kushner, hope I'm saying your name right, bro. He said he's in Jersey, but anything you need, research, administrative, anything, let him know.
All right, Jason. That's my cousin. That's my white cousin.
Tracye Willingham, perhaps this movement can initiate reinstating banning our history books in the libraries. Joseph L.B. Harris, you can't individuals in a leadership position who aren't leaders. I'm not sure what he was saying. So he said having individuals in leadership positions who aren't leaders is the problem. You're right. They can't get 5 people in a room, can't convince a starving man to bite into an apple. But they have a title and people assume they're leaders. You're dead on point with that.
That's for real.
Valente says Malcolm warned us if we don't control the politics in our communities, someone else will. The work won't be perfect at first, but movements never are. And he's absolutely right. Jason Kushner says create a mission statement, an actual agreed upon written mission statement for the movement, along with your movement's value to the people of Springfield. My cousin says she's proud of me. Thank you, Denise.
Oh, thank you. And listen, for Jason's for the comment you just made with the mission statement and stuff, we got people in our community that's good at facilitating that type of session. And so we need those people to say, okay, I heard what you said about creating the missions, visions, values, what our values are. Like when I think back to Martin Luther King, they had core values, economic development, getting poor people out of poverty, getting great housing, voting. They had core things that they were going to work on. We have to figure out what that is collectively. Thank you, D.
Okay. Brother Jeb says real organizing demands the removal of ego. The moment ego takes the wheel, the work shifts from liberation to personal
Yes.
legacy, from collective power to personal positioning.
What?
That part, that's our biggest problem. You know, I don't care if a brother or sister get a job, you know, working in a position, and all of a sudden their ego takes control and they feel there's a sense of entitlement, like we should be asking them for autographs, not for service. It's and it's real.
That's a great comment.
Let's see. Agreed, Tracye. We have to make a plan for the community. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm not reading everything, so folks. So just give me a second.
A spook that for Tori McLeod, she said, "I'm sorry. What's the name of the book?"
The spook that's out by the door.
The spook that's out by the door. Yeah.
Education is key. Lots of people in our KB says education is key. Lots of people in our community lack understanding of the process and how things really work. Brother Charles Stokes says those who would assume the responsibility of representing Black people must throw off the notion that they can effectively do so and still maintain a maximum of security. Let me repeat that. Those who would assume the responsibility of representing Black people must throw off the notion that they can effectively do so and still maintain a maximum of security.
Can you break that down for me?
Bottom line is, the minute you step up for Black people, your job is at risk. So, when you put yourself in a position under that spotlight, just know that it comes with sacrifice. Just know that it comes with a target. You have a comfortable position, all of a sudden you become that Negro on the plantation stirring up everybody. You become Denmark Vesey. You become that Turner. You become Kuzco. You become
Darryl Moss.
You will get fired.
I got fired.
You will get fired. You will have the same mayor that they paraded and said, you have to make a choice between that Black stuff and this office. Easy decision. But I can't believe you said it out loud. But it's cool. So Stokes, you're on point. So
I like that.
Jobs will have to be sacrificed, positions of prestige and status given up, favors forfeited. It may well be, and I think it is, that leadership and security are basically incompatible. You have to be willing to sacrifice something. It's across the board in our community, has been forever. So just know if you speak up, they're going to come for you. But when they come for you, if we're doing due diligence, they'll know that you're not by yourself, and they're going to think twice about coming for you.
And that's why, Darryl, we have to make sure we're in positions that we do the hiring. We do the hiring. Okay? And so you speak up, they fire you, you're straight. Okay? We need to be in those positions in all industries, not just political.
They used to say, well, I want a piece of the pie. No, I want the pie. I want the ingredients. I want the oven. Damn it, I want to control the kitchen.
I want to eat it. I want the cake and I want to eat it.
All of it. I want the whole kitchen. So I don't want to sit at the table on my own table. We need our own table in our own room. So just for things to think about. Shahid, what's up, Shahid? Says gatekeepers. I'm not sure who we're talking about, but I have a feeling. Who else? Jason Cushion, design a framework for the leadership. Is one single leader better? Multiple leaders, either within communities or multiple leaders for different aspects of the movement. Civil rights, getting the vote out, canvassing for donations, leading and relationships with bigger donors, leaders for the youth, and combining efforts and outreach in Springfield City Schools. That's our electoral process. So I would say components that deal specifically with the electoral process. We need advocates, we need lobbyists who are working year round, which means we have to pay funds because raise funds because people can't live for free. Raise funds to ensure that we have lobbyists in Boston. Make sure we can send lobbyists who are constantly dealing with all of our local elected officials to make sure they're on top of what they're supposed to do. There's so many aspects of it. I'm not a fan of linear leadership where you have someone at the top that work their way down. Historically, we've done that, and the minute they cut the head off of the top, the whole organization falls apart. I'm into circular leadership where everybody has a voice. That's that communal process.
Even with the mayor, like we need a mayor that looks at it just like you. It's for the community, it's by the community. Not that like I'm the dictator and you're gonna do what I say or you're not gonna get this grant that you've been getting. So now
that person, the minute somebody says I'm the mayor or they need to be eliminated.
I'm the H and I C. Y'all remember that movie?
Let's see. Paula Stein said, collectively is powerful. Great work. Richie Mines, what is our culture or out culture? Bro, chime back in and clarify that. I'm just kind of curious about that question. Charles Stokes says, when we as Africans play colonial politics, say we are for our people, then get around white people, we code switch and say I'm for all people, we mislead the movement.
Who said that?
Charles Stokes.
Well, I am for all people, but I'm pro-black. I'm going to work hard for black, but I'm for all people because not only black people elected me, I have a responsibility as a city councilor. I work in a coalition for an equitable economy, which means that I listen to everybody's struggle. So I am for all people. That doesn't mean I'm not going to work hard for black people. I'm not pro-black. I'm not about the mission. I'm not about the vision. So that's just one person's perspective. It doesn't mean, and there are situations that I have to code switch because you ain't in the room with me when I'm in a room full of white male men, leaders in manufacturing that don't even know how to take me when I walk in the room with my hair like this. So there are times that I have had to change who I am, not my hair, but I can smile and, and I'm still listening and soaking up every single gem that they give and talk about and right back to the community. And so.
Tracye, let me add, when I worked for Dominic, nobody had any complaints about how Dominic structured his office. He had a constituent services director who was typically Irish. No, not typically. They were always Irish. He had a Latino in the office to deal with the Latino community. Then he had a Black in the office to deal with the Black community. So it's kind of like the way they broke that up. It was actually crazy. I mean, listen, everything I did outside of the capacity of my job, I did for my community only. Majority of the time. That was my priority. It's just who I am. It's part of my personality. On the job, you service anyone who walks through that door. And I think people need to understand that. I hear where Brother Stokes is coming from, but it's kind of like if for this organizational effort, that's different. On your job as an elected official, you have to serve. You're an at-large candidate, which means you need to serve everybody. But what you do on your private time, your personal time, your volunteer time, you can make one community your sole focus. I see the Latino legislators; they do that all the time. Their passion is in their community.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah,
right. So I just want to clarify that for people.
Good, because sometimes I get it mixed up in my head, and I don't know if that you're talking about me or not. So I just have to clarify in my job capacity. And even I'm not even going to say, because if I'm working outside and doing something in my own time and it's for children, it's not going to be just for Black children. It's going to be for all children. If I'm working in my own capacity and it's for seniors, it's not just going to be for Black seniors. It's going to be for all seniors. But that's me. That's how I move personally. But in this movement, and I know what the movement is for, then I'm going to know. It just depends on the situation and the circumstance.
And the hat that you're wearing. People
have the hat that I'm wearing at the time.
If you work at Walmart, you can't say I'm a cashier, I'm only gonna bring out one particular group. What you do after you leave Walmart is a little different. And folks need to understand that. But while you're working in your capacity as a city councilor, being a Black in government, Black in law enforcement at the same time, you can be sure to serve. Instead of being a gatekeeper, you can be that person who ensures that gate stays open. So that there's a dual purpose for that role. You don't have to be a gatekeeper, but you can definitely make sure the gate stays open. Everybody gets in, has access to the resources, the services, the funds, that type of stuff. And as long as you're doing that and you're making sure no floodgates remain open for your folks, you're doing your job. And I think expectations, when we talk about leadership, now I'm always going to go back to it. I think we have to be very, very, very clear on what our expectations are. Because sometimes we have these unrealistic expectations for leadership. And I'm off of what Charles Stokes says. I'm just saying in general. We have these unrealistic expectations as if the minute you step into that leadership spotlight, you give up your humanity and now you're Superman from another planet. That issue isn't realistic. And I think we have to be very clear about that going into that. People aren't, first thing we want to do is get divisive and start accusing anyone in a leadership capacity of selling out the movement. Although damn well they aren't, so we got to be clear on that. So
I think it's about understanding, Darryl. Like, I think that statement shouldn't be made in a bubble or all or none type statement. I'm not saying that to Charles' statement either. I don't know if that's what he meant or whatever. But I think people need to really like understand, like ask more questions. Because for me, it's access and opportunity. Now, if I start closing those doors, then I'm not going to learn where the access is. I'm not going to learn how to do specific things that I can bring back to the community to grow the community. So I'm leaving those doors open. I'm not going to, I don't have to call everybody out to get my point across. Like, I'm going to just keep doing this work. We got other people, we got voices in the community that we need to do that. That's just not my role. Everybody has a role to play.
I think as we move forward, Tracye, even if someone directs a question at you, and I'm just going to throw it out there, I don't think it's fair to just target you because you're a city councilor. I think as we lay out this template and we develop guidelines for how our community moves forward, socially, politically, economically, I think this is bigger than any of us who are involved in this conversation right now. Yeah. I think we're doing something that our predecessors didn't do. They did it really well. But they didn't leave a blueprint for future generations to work off of. And I think as we put this together, this blueprint isn't about City Council President Tracye Whitfield or Darryl Moss or Jason Bland.
Right.
This is about our community. And I think folks can't be myopic in our thinking as we talk about this. And I'm not talking about Charles Stokes, I'm saying in general.
In general.
Ironically, the next one is from Brother Jeb. It says, Tracye, what's your plan to move the dial for equity in the city of Springfield for Africans/Black people, well, for Black folks? And again, I don't think it's a fair question to ask you in this type of forum when we're talking about Black people in general. We're not interviewing for a candidate. I understand the question, but it's kind of like I think everyone should be asking.
Yeah, I can answer it.
No, because if by doing that, it takes us off focus.
Okay.
And it becomes a distraction, and it does. The question doesn't end up helping. It becomes a distraction. Is it a relevant question? Absolutely. But me running my mouth right now, speaking on behalf of not all the Black community, but for the folks who listen to me, I think I have to answer that same question too.
I think he has to answer it too. What is he going to move the?
Yeah,
everybody got to answer that question.
Everybody has to answer that question. It's not a single cell question. I mean, and I'm glad you put it up there because everybody who said amen, you need to ask yourself, what's my plan to move the dial for equity? Fuck equality. Give me equity. I don't care what you think about me. If you don't think me and JB on the same level, that's cool. But I want exactly what you're giving him. I want equity. Matter of fact,
equity is not even exactly what you're giving somebody else. Equity is giving you what you need, what you want, what you deserve. I might not need what Darryl need. I might not need what Jason need. I need what Tracye need. And I want you to give me what I need. That's what equity is. Equality is giving the same exact thing to people and all that. No, everybody don't want the same things. Everybody don't want to be a homeowner. I do. Show me where the home buyer programs are. You know what I'm saying? So that's equity. And equality is given equal amounts. Jason, you're back. Can you talk now? Because we only got we're going to end this at 8:45.
Jeannie Ray says accountability court. Go ahead, Jay. You've been gone for a minute. I know you got something to say. Talk to me. What you thinking?
Really,
I don't think you can talk.
Preventing me from hearing, the bulk of the conversation. I go back always to, there's a question of where we're going. People jump on a movement with passion and emotion, but what is the direction? What's the end game, right? Because what it sounds like, and what I have heard, and what a lot of people always seem to ask is, okay, if we're getting blocked from the resources aren't getting distributed with equity, right? How is it another community can seem to always get resource, right? I mean, is our movement about propping up somebody in place resources, right? Is that the movement? Is that the goal of it, right? So let's find a candidate that we can run. Let's do this. Let's do that. Because we know if, they say it's never a no problem, because we all know it's a do problem. So what do we do beyond the conversation? Say, hey, listen, this is the end game. What we're collectively trying to do is put people in positions with, those resources that aren't going to get in and then forget the promises they made to get the votes to get there. what I mean? I guess, it's a different movement. It's a different time. So Malcolm, Martin, their movement was easier, for people to align with because it was a civil, alluded to. Everybody wants something different. Not everybody has the same goal. Some people may just want a job. Some people do want for business, small business opportunities, but is there going to be one single goal? Malcolm Martin, they had everybody collectively in the country of color had one goal, right? So in this day and age, in this time, how do we get there? How does the vision become everybody's marching in the movement to the same direction? Because it's the arbitrary nature of motivation, right? I hated as hell until I get this, and now, hey, you know what? I'm good. Basically alluded to complacency, right? Oh, I got what I wanted, so I'm good. I don't want to jeopardize losing this, right? I don't want to. Is it that all out, man?
Yeah, you're
Right?
You're in and out again.
Is it
You're in and out again. And
anything?
Let me text them.
I want this. I want that.
Yeah, Jason, if you can hear me, we can't hear anything you're saying.
Accomplish that.
We can't hear you. We're going in and out.
Protest, and the guy.
You're gonna have to remove him because he can't hear us either.
All right,
yeah, and plus we moved past that conversation. Like he backtracked us a bit. In that conversation, so he can go watch.
We're at the hour and a half mark. I guess. Long story short is everybody's input is valuable in this process.
I didn't hear it, so I'm just saying I'm asking collectively because
we talk movement. What we really want to build is a process.
Yes,
processes last forever. Putting policies in place within our community as a part of that process, things that we can always go back to, and it becomes our foundation. This isn't about electing an individual, or it's not about popular personalities. It's about grooming and building literacy. It's about putting on civics classes, at least bi-monthly, so that people can get a really good understanding what the civics process actually looks like, how local government functions, how county government functions, how state and federal government, how it functions. This is about getting people to the point where they understand functionality, understanding process. As long as we have a process in place, we don't have to worry about individuals saying, yo, man, I'm here for me. Well, that's fine. You're here for you. We caught it. We got it. You come to the front of the room. We have an accountability committee over there. We talked about that. That's one piece. I won't go into anybody else, and that's what you're going to deal with. Then you need to come before the voting block, and you need to explain your decision. Otherwise, as somebody said earlier, you'll be one and done.
Yeah.
So it's not about letting a personality control us. It's about us controlling the personalities that represent us on the, in the political process. It's like hiring an attorney. If we bring you in, we will bring you back out. And people need to understand that. When we talk about everybody wanting something different, let me be really clear. With the Black Panthers, they started the breakfast program that still runs today. They were doing free dinners for people. They talked about free healthcare. We had a group of Black folks, I think it was out of Ohio. I'm not sure where it started, but the EMT services, the ambulatory care, that was Black folks saying we have medical needs. So it's bigger than money. It's bigger than any personality. It's about putting a process in place that will last. The shots that you get, those are Black folks who the former enslaved people, some free, who taught white people how to give them how to do the inoculations to save their lives. So we have a history of putting processes in place. The only problem is everyone benefits from it except for us. What we're saying is we want to put a process together in Springfield called the movement, called the process. We want to build something in Springfield that will last 100, 200 years after we're dead and gone. That's what this is about. This isn't about empowering any person. I can care less what your last name is. I don't care how regal your family is. We want people who are going to represent this process. And that, at the end of the day, that's it. Real quick, I just want to let people know that we have something up on March 21st. It's in development, but I'm gonna throw it out there now. We want to talk about Legacy of Guardians reception. What we want to do is celebrate Blacks in public service. I think it's one of the things for me. I think it's really important that we recognize our Black elected officials, because people who take time out of their day, they run for office, they take time out of their day, time out of their lives, time away from their families to represent us. If we want them to do a bang up hell of a job, then we have to show people we appreciate them. They need to know that they have a platform to stand on when they're in those city council chambers, or if they're up in Boston. We got to make sure that our folks have a platform to stand on. They need to know that the community is standing with them with every decision that they make. I'm done.
Okay, I'm gonna take the final word, and I'm gonna let you all go. Please join us with that event that Darryl and team are putting together. I will be in the house. It's on my calendar. Mark yours. What's the date again? March
21st at 6 p.m.
March 21st.
Pamusa Museum.
At Pamusa Museum. So mark your calendars for that. I'm going to take the final word because I'm going to say everything Darryl said, and it's not a but, it's an and. I want to put people in place that's going to work for us. I'm not even going to lie. I want people, we're going to vote people in place that's going to work for us, because like I said before, and when you read Spook Who Sits Behind the Door, you need people in every position, everywhere, whether it's lawyers, doctors, you need people everywhere. And so, yes, one of the goals that I want to, it's not like, oh, this particular person, but when we talk to people and we believe in them, and we're gonna stick behind them, and we're gonna put them in place, to give us the benefits that we deserve. So it's a yes and for me. And yes, I do have goals, but if you listen to me, if you have listened to any of my speeches, you will know what they are. There's nothing I really have to reiterate right now. You could go and listen to the inauguration address. Yeah, matter of fact, a press release is going out tomorrow. So those who are questioning what I'm going to do to move us forward, you will see that, and you can go back and listen to that without me reiterating it. But yes, I like what Darryl said about if you're going to hold one person under their gun, whether they're in leadership, then we have to hold ourselves under a gun and say, what are we going to do for the Black community? Like, what are we all individually and collectively going to do for the community? So we want to thank Jason for joining us today with excellence. We know he had technical difficulties. We'll have him back on when we have that resolved. Please join at Pamusa March 1st at 6 o'clock.
21st.
March 21st at 6 o'clock. Oh, you gave me a different date. I gotta look at my calendar again. But March 21st at 6 o'clock. Please join that event, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Thank you for sticking with us this long. We go an hour and 32 minutes, but it was well worth it to be with y'all and to just educate the community and to get all these people that said they're in. So even if we go back and look at the comments. So if you watch this later, or you say I'm in later, or some people just inbox me and text me saying they want to be behind the scenes. We need those behind the scene workers too. Everybody don't got to know what the left hand don't always got to know what the right hand is doing, vice versa. So we need y'all too. So thank you and have a blessed day.
Peace, y'all.